Magandang hapon. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, medyo na-late ako ng konti kasi nag-brownout dito sa amin dahil malakas itong ulan and yung signal kasi ng internet has been, well, very unsteady so far. But then again, we are here on our nth episode. I don't know how many episodes we've already had in our triple A session, Ask Angel Anything. And for the past few weeks, we've been focusing on Batsi in terms of understanding Chinese metaphysics. Because remember, whenever we do this, Ask Angel Anything, we're focusing on Chinese metaphysics. Unlike our Monday sessions, which focus more on motivation and on the books that we are reviewing, every Thursday we focus more on the Chinese metaphysics. That's why today we'll be discussing Chinese metaphysics and which particular field of Chinese metaphysics. Remember, there are 5 fields of Chinese metaphysics. What everybody knows is feng shui, which is the study of the flow of energy inside and outside your premises or your house. Then we have our chimen, which is being used by business people on how to create strategies for their businesses. Then we have date selection, which is finding the most opportune day to do certain things and days which we need to stay away from in terms of doing also certain things. Then we have our um, Chimen. Chi, Aside from Chimen, we have YiJing. YiJing, which is what we will be discussing today, is really more of divination or divination or understanding well being able to communicate with the supreme being. Okay, whatever you might want to call your supreme being, but basically it's about that. It's about understanding. So right now, this is what we have. This is YiJing, and what the question that I post on my Facebook account is, well, these are YiJing hexagrams. What do they mean? Okay, so we will be discussing 3 hexagrams today, and the 3 hexagrams are heaven, beginning, and peel. So what are these? Let's begin with that first. What do we mean by this, or what do these things mean for us? Okay, so Yijing, as I mentioned, is just like communicating with the higher being. But how do we communicate? Okay, several years ago, Morse code was introduced, or was created, and through Morse code, we were able to communicate with people who are very very far from us. Okay, and how do we use Morse code? There are only two um, types of messages. Okay, basically letters that we use, and these two are simply the dot and the line. Deep dot. Okay, dida or dadi, or how else would you want to call it? Okay, so the dot and the line. So the 26 letters of the alphabet is just a combination of all of these. Now, even if you receive a message just like this, but you don't know what it means, then you cannot decode it. You cannot understand it. You will not know what it actually means. So you need a guide. You need a template. Okay, and the template for Morse code is like this. Okay, if you want to type in letter A, it's dot D. Okay. So it's a dot and the line. For letter B, it's a line and 3 dots. For letter C, line dot. Okay. And so on and so forth. For you to be able to communicate all 26 letters of the alphabet. So depending on the combinations of these, you are able to create your message to the person who is several miles from you. So just using two things, it's just like binary. Okay, so just two things, it's a dot and a long line. Okay, the same is true when it comes to Yijing. Okay, in Yijing, we're also using similar things. Oh, by the way, if we want to communicate SOS, S is three dots, O is three long lines, and S is another three dots. So if our message is dot, 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 meaning what we're saying is SOS, because those are the combinations of those letters. Three dots, three lines, and three dots. And if the person on the other side of the Morse of the machine gets this message, dot, 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 dot. So the person on the other side would automatically understand what you're saying and say, aha, the person on the other side needs SOS. And SOS means help. They need help. They need support immediately. So the troops will be sent because of that. Okay. So what do these mean for us? Okay, what do this mean for us? Whenever we try to communicate, okay, whenever we try to make messages, it is important for us to know what the combinations are. So it is critical. Okay. And that criticality, that importance of creating the messages would allow us to communicate with the other side. Sorry. Uh, huge lightning again. Okay, so for us now, what does that mean? How do we communicate through YiJing using the same concept? Okay, exactly the same concept. So for YiJing, what we're using are this. Instead of a dot, it's broken line. So we only have two things for YiJing. It is either a solid line or a broken line. So only two things, a solid line and a broken line. And in Chinese metaphysics, we always have these two things, the yin and the yang, because it's a combination of energies. Okay, another lightning. So it's just a combination of a solid line on which is yang and the broken line which is yin. Okay. So however you would combine these two uh, uh, these two things would give us whatever communication we'd like to send to the other person. Okay. So uh, those combinations of broken line and solid line give us what we call the 8 trigrams. Okay. The location of the trigrams, or the way the trigrams are written, is as such. Okay. For Earth, for example, for Earth, you will see there three broken lines. So that is the meaning, or that is the um, when you want to say Earth in YiJing, that is the symbol, three broken lines. So whenever you see three broken lines, that means Earth. Now for the mountain, however, it's solid line on top and two broken lines at the bottom. When you read the hexagrams, by the way, and the trigrams, you begin with the bottom. Okay, bottom going up. So if you look at Earth, Earth is just like well, if you look at how it looks like, it's just like pebbles or sand on the floor. So many small things. Okay, many small rocks, probably pebbles or sand. To the mountain, however, if you look at it, it looks really like a mountain. You have the two sides going up and you have a top of the mountain. So when you see this broken line going up, broken line, and solid line, meaning yin and yang, that is a mountain. Water is just like flowing. So you have yin in the bottom, at the bottom, yin at the top, and you have a yang in the middle. So yin, yang, and yin. That is the symbol for water. Now, wind is just like flowing strong wind at the top with your earth at the bottom. So it's like flowing wind at the top on top of the earth. So you have yin, then yang, and yang. Going over to the bottom left, you have thunder. Oh, just like what we're experiencing lang right now. We have strong, well, yeah, I don't know if you can hear the thunder and the rain. So it's raining really, really hard. So the thunder is yang at the bottom, then yin and yin. Then you have fire. And fire is solid line at the bottom, a yang, then a yin at the middle, then another yang on top. Marsh is just like it's a body of water just near a river or a sea, and it is not that deep, but it is always wet. Wetlands for some people. That's what they call it, the wetlands. And marsh is yang and yin on top. And heaven are three solid yangs, very powerful. So these are the six trigrams, the eight trigrams. Now, the eight trigrams will be combined with another eight trigrams at the bottom for you to form what we call a hexagram. A hexagram is composed of six lines coming or beginning at the bottom. Okay. I'll give you an example of a hexagram. Okay. This is an example of a hexagram. This is the hexagram called heaven. Okay. Heaven is composed of six solid lines, all solid lines. Okay. So from the bottom all the way up. So if you will notice here, the heaven is a combination of two heavens. Because if you remember, in the trigram, a heaven is three solid lines. Okay. So if we create a trigram, a hexagram combining two heavens, it is called a heaven also. So it's called what when we say heaven, when we say heaven, if the trigram at the bottom is the same as the trigram on top, it's a special kind of hexagram. I'll discuss later on what it means. Okay, so let's look at heaven. Now, heaven is number one. For some of you, recently I asked you to choose a number from 1 to 64. Okay. And 1 to 64 are each of the 64 hexagrams that you can form by combining two trigrams. Okay. So here, number one, hexagram number one is a combination of two heaven trigrams. Okay. And the two heaven trigrams forming heaven, composed of two heavens. What does that mean? What does it mean? Okay, ito ngayon. If you have chosen heaven, if you chose, when I asked, choose a number from 1 to 64, if you chose heaven, if you chose number one, what does that mean? Okay, this is what it means. And I'd like you to take a note of this. Okay, so heaven, the hexagram heaven means execution. Okay, it's clarity, it's grand idea. So what we're saying here is that your mind is clear and you have great ideas that you can implement, you can perform. And these great plans that you have is called, well, it's a God-worthy plan. It is approved by God. Okay, so if whatever belief system you have, so you are creative and you have the force behind you, meaning you are being supported for that plan, for that endeavor that you're planning to have. So you're creative with strong action plan in place of you, and you have found the key to something valuable, a very good idea that you can actually implement. Okay, a good idea is taking place the way of the emperor, or they call it the emperor or the monarch. So heaven relates to building an empire, a market leader with heaven's mandate. Oh, so that means if you chose number one, you have an idea right now. You have a plan, but you might not have executed it yet. It's just lingering in your mind so far, but you have a great plan in mind. Now, what this hexagram is telling you is that whatever plan you have, implement it. Come on, implement it. Nothing will go wrong. You are supported by the supreme being. You're supported by God. You're supported by heaven. So your plans can easily be executed. Of course, you need to make sure that you really execute it. And don't just think of the plan and say, it's heaven, so it's gonna function in itself, or by itself. No, 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 no. You still need to do it. But when you do it, as you do it, you will notice that things are falling into place. That things are your implementation is not hitting so much snags, and you're able to do it kind of easily. So if you chose number one among the 64 hexagrams, if you chose number one, this is what it means for you. So this is heaven. Okay. Now, what if you chose number three? Okay, ito ngayon titingnan natin. What if you chose number three? What is number three? Pakita ko sa inyo. Number three means beginning. So this is beginning. Number three has two trigrams also. The top hexagram is water, and the bottom hexagram is thunder. Okay. When you combine water on top, thunder at the bottom, the combination is called a beginning. The thunder is kinda loud. Okay. The water on top is fluid. Okay, it is moving. So thunder is also moving as well. So the combination is called beginning. Now, what does it mean when you hit, or when you have chosen number three and you have chosen beginning? What does that mean? Okay, so in the hexagram, imagine you have water on top. It's just like you're being uh, uh, suffocated by water on top. It's like you're being buried. Okay, when actually one way of looking at it based on Chinese metaphysics is that when you are being put under something and you have water on top, it's just like you are being planted, just like a seed. You're being planted. So when you are planted, eventually expect that you will grow. Okay. So wisdom requires the execution. The top may be very dark, but there is movement below. And difficulty, there might be some difficulty at the beginning, but you will have a breakthrough in the end, garnering support and buying time. So what does this mean? If you have chosen number three, it means also, just like heaven, you also have a plan in mind. But it is not yet ready to grow. It is still being planted. It still needs to germinate for it to grow. But it will grow. So whatever plans you may have, you need to plant it now. You need to begin it. You don't expect it yet that when you start it today, tomorrow it's already going to be big and huge and humongous. Not yet. But you start planting right now and it will grow. If you have a business in mind, plant it now. Plant it now and it will eventually grow. But remember, it's not an overnight thing that when you plant it today, when you begin the business today, when you incorporate now, tomorrow it's already big. No, it will need to grow. And that it has to follow the law of the farm. When you plant it, you need to take care of it, you need to water it, you need to make bungkal, the soil around it, for it to eventually grow. So it will have a breakthrough very soon. And once that breakthrough happens, suddenly, boom, your business has already grown. Now, you also need to prepare internally, to store up, to to make sure that when that breakthrough happens, you're ready for it. So in organizations, for example, you need to be able to scale up your business immediately. What do we mean by scale up? You need to be able to expand it at the soonest possible time when that breakthrough happens. Don't be caught sleeping, meaning don't be caught with a rapidly growing organization, and yet the systems and the processes that you have put in, that you have set up, is not ready for this growth. So be ready for it. So right now, train yourself, learn it, learn the different aspects of the business that you're putting up so that when it suddenly grows, when it expands, you are ready to run that business. And at the same time, so for you, you need to focus not only on developing yourself, you need to focus on yourself, the internal preparation as you wait for that breakthrough. For Janet and I, for example, I for some of you who've been following our blogs for quite some time now, and our webinars, you know that we are preparing for a rapid increase, a rapid growth. We know it's gonna come. We know it's gonna come. That's why we keep on studying now about Chinese metaphysics. We know that Chinese metaphysics will gain ground, especially in the Philippines, pretty soon. And we'd like to position ourselves as individuals who are knowledgeable, at least at the minimum, knowledgeable in Chinese metaphysics, so that if ever there will be some other individuals who'd like to learn Chinese metaphysics or would like to understand how it is to use Chinese metaphysics, they can call on us. Okay, you can call on us. Okay, so this is the beginning. You're beginning something. But remember, when you begin with something, at first it feels that there's no movement, just like in a seed. That's just like planting. At first, you cannot see what's growing yet because everything is happening underground until such time that you're ready to break through. You're ready to break the ground on top of you and reveal yourself as a rapidly growing organization or a rapidly growing business. Okay, so that is number three. If you have chosen number three, okay. I mentioned a while ago that I will just be choosing random numbers for this. The next number that we have chosen to explain today is a a higher number, and it's 23. And 23 means peel. Just like if you have a banana, you're peeling off the skin of the banana or whatever fruit you may have. If you have an orange, you're peeling the outside portion of the orange. So peel is composed of two trigrams. You have the mountain on top and you have earth at the bottom. Okay. If you will notice here, the mountain, it's just like a huge chunk of rock, a huge mountain being placed on top of you. So it's kind of heavy. It's really very heavy. So what does this trigram mean? Okay, what does it mean? If you have a mountain on top and earth at the bottom, what does it mean? Okay, it means that you may be experiencing some challenges right now. Okay. And you are at the brink of a change. You are at the brink of a decision. And that decision will actually change your life. It's like holding on to the last thread of an existence. Sa Filipino, we call it isang bulate na lang ang naghihintay pumirma. Okay, so you're holding at the last thread and the position that you have right now is kind of precarious. You don't know what will happen next because you're standing at the edge of something. The breaking, it's very close to breaking. Only line 6, which is the top line, is a young line, is a solid line. All the rest are broken lines. Now, this represents also that, well, heaven is giving mercy to you. Okay, because there is a support level on top. But right now, you feel that you cannot do anything. That the decision is not in your hands. The decision is happening to you. There are so many influences outside, a lot of them bad influences that are impacting you right now. The assets you have built all through these years, the preparations you have done, right now you feel are about to break. And therefore, this is the decision that you need to make. You need to let go. Right now, that is what the YiJing is telling you. You need to let go. It is a sign of destruction. So whatever that is that you're trying to hold on to right now, it's time to let go. It's time to let it apart from you. Just let it be. because it is causing so much pressure, so much difficulty, so much heartache for you right now. So if you want to follow YiJing, what YiJing is telling you is you need to let go. Just like what Elsa said, let it go, let it go. That's basically what YiJing is telling you. So if you have chosen pill, if you have chosen pill, which is in our hexagram is number 23, that is what you need to do. Okay, so today we discuss three hexagrams. The first is heaven, the second is beginning, and the third is pill. Next Thursday, we will get three more hexagrams. Sometimes we might be able to have time to discuss four, but right now we're just talking about three hexagrams: heaven, beginning, and pill. Okay. And if the number that you have chosen is not on those three, it's not number one, it's not number three, and it is not number 23, then just wait for next week. Maybe your number will come up. Okay, I already asked so many people to just give me a number, and pretty much right now, almost all 64 numbers are already taken. So whatever number you chose, just wait for the episode of Ask Angel Anything. The episode we're in, we will be discussing the number that you have chosen. Okay? So, maraming salamat. Thank you so much for listening in. Thank you for so much for studying YiJing with us. Next week, we'll continue on with YiJing. Ako pala, I'm Angel E. Lozari Jr. I'm the president and lead thinker of Lozari Consulting. What we do is we do HR consulting. We do training programs on supervision, on leadership, on motivation, all the gamut of HR functions. Plus, on the side, we do Chinese metaphysics, just like what we are doing right now. We're doing Chinese metaphysics. So practically the entire week, we are HR consultants, but on Thursdays, we are Chinese metaphysics consultants. So we will see you again next week. And again, I'm Angel Lozari of Lozari Consulting. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.